Media.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the Redefining podcast.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about the iterative process of growth. Now, this is a revisit topic. I know we've talked about this before in the past, and I think it's a topic and principle that's worth revisiting, right? It's always good to have a reminder of this principle. For me, especially right now, it's very pertinent. I am definitely iterating as I go. There's lots that has happened this year, and it's accelerating. It's ever accelerating for me, anyways. With the courses and everything, I launched the Influencer Masterclass back in March. I just did the Network Marketing in the Digital Age seminar last week, and then of course I have now an event in May that I've just announced and am working towards. Right now, with each one of these things, I've iterated something new, and I'll explain that in just a second. Why is iterative process important? Well, why is growth important, right? Well, growth is important, and I believe should be constant because the world is ever changing. Simple as that. The world is moving, time is moving, change is constant, technology is evolving, the marketplace is changing, the economy is volatile, everything is ever moving. And so if you're not growing, you're being actually left behind. The same goes for business, right? Even if you're happy with the level of your business right now, if you're not growing and keeping up with the ever-changing world, your business is actually in decline. Same thing with health, same thing with relationships, same thing with finances. So we always have to be willing to adapt and change and grow and evolve. However, that idea, the notion of growth, I think can be limited, right? It can be very, very narrow. And here's why. Part of it is because of a natural unconscious pattern that we all have to protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe from change, right? There's that ancient reptilian part of our brain that unconsciously does not want us to change. And when we face something new, when we face change, when we face growth, when we face expansion, there are so many, unknowns, right? There are so many things that you like, or like we want to predict, but it's impossible to predict. So our brains want to compensate for all of the unknown factors and everything that's foreign and scary. Our brains compensate by learning as much as possible, right? The learning space is a safe space. It keeps us from actually stepping into that uncharted and that scary, that foreign territory, all the unknowns, right? So if we're just sitting here learning, we're safe, we're insulated, we're protected from the actual doing, which is where all the risk is. Also, too, I think it's reinforced that pattern is reinforced by the education system, especially here in the US, right? We spend the first 20, 21, 22 years of our lives in learning, in the safety of learning. Now, I know in college, that varies and people start to transition into, internships and getting part-time jobs and stuff. But largely, we're still insulated in that safe space of learning. And so, again, that ancient pattern, that unconscious mindset is reinforced by all of this. And so anytime we're faced with anything new or having to step into expansion and foreign things, then the immediate tendency is to want to learn as much as possible and try to predict every factor that you have to learn and master all of it first. I'm going to tell you right now, it's impossible. Right? Yes, you can maybe have a knowledge base, but that doesn't mean that your capability has improved or that you've expanded at all, because knowledge isn't the only factor in capability. You actually have to gain a proficiency, and you can't gain proficiency without putting any of what you learned into action. So just learning and learning as much as you can up front is actually a slower process as opposed to learning and doing at the same time. I've really embraced this concept of learning it as I go, because I've had to very much do that with all the launches this year. And in fact, you can learn and accomplish things much more quickly if you learn as you go, as opposed to learning everything, thinking that you can even learn everything is a fallacy in the first place. But learning everything up front is just such a slow process, and it reinforces your safe zone, right? It reinforces you retreating into the safety of this learning environment, and you end up just getting stuck there and not doing anything and not making any actual forward progress and forward motion. Now, for the real life examples for me, like I'm really literally iterating as I go. With each launch. The first launch, Influencer Masterclass, the first thing that I really had to iterate and incorporate is email marketing. Right, I had to create a landing page, a registration form for people to register for. So the Influencer Masterclass had, it had multiple kind of goals. First, obviously, is to teach the material. Now, I'm super comfortable in teaching the material, no problem. I am very comfortable in being in that role of teacher, coach, and mentor, The mechanics, however, of launching something very scary and frightening and intimidating to me, right? I feel like there's so many moving pieces, and my brain just, the creative part of my brain doesn't function very well. I'm getting better at it, but it doesn't function very well, thinking and feeling that I have to learn all of that first. And that's one of the reasons why I love the iterative process, because I can incrementally add something, and therefore the growth, it feels seamless, right? If you look at it from a 12-month standpoint, it's like, man, that was massive quantum leaps of growth. But really, when you zoom in on the microscope, it's just one step at a time, right? It's that old saying, how do you get from A to Z? Well, you got to go from A to B, and then B to C, and then C to D, and so on and so forth, and then eventuality you get to the Z. And so, with the logistics of these launches, the first thing was email marketing. Right, this was back in March. I realized that I had to create a form and collect emails and have all that stuff, in order to do the masterclass in the first place. So. It was teaching the masterclass was one aspect and one goal, but learning and mastering, or not even mastering, but learning and getting a proficiency in email marketing and capturing, emails and information with lead pages and landing pages. That was a big piece, and it took me a while. Like, it took me a couple of days to figure that out before I actually started taking registrations for the masterclass. Now that I had that under my belt, though, the next event was no problem in collecting emails and registration. So, after the Influencer Masterclass, I had, the Network Marketing in the Digital Age seminar that just happened on April 1st. And so I had the email and form part down. The next thing that I wanted to get ready was being able to collect money, because at the seminar, at the end of the seminar, I wanted to announce and open registration for my paid course in May. Right, so that was the next iteration. So how do I collect money? How do I have people actually register for these things, and all these logistical moving pieces, right? The mechanics of it, the stuff again that intimidates me generally. So I just added that one piece. Okay, so here's a way for me to collect money. And it was simple, right? It was just going on to, starting my Kajabi account, opening a account with them, and it's really, all right, I just had to take the time, one night, 2 nights to put the thing together. And now that I've iterated that, I can do that even much more effectively for the next event in May. So as the process goes, my proficiency increases, my capability increases, and my knowledge base increases, as opposed to just learning, right? None of this happens if I'm spending all my time learning and not doing, right? Learning as you go, if you really embrace this iterative process of growth, your capability, your proficiency, your knowledge base, all of that increases. And then while you're doing that, at the same time, you're getting results. You're getting results that you can then extrapolate data from to improve your processes even more. Right now, it's a beautiful way of growth, and because you're getting stuff done. You're getting stuff done. You're not just hiding in the safety of learning, which really is not that safe at all, because as I said, the whole rest of the world is moving forward. Right? And if you're not moving with it, if you're not actually taking the steps, moving one foot in front of the other, you'll never make that journey of 1,000 miles. So that's my message for you today. Iterative process of growth. I absolutely love it. I implement it. It's a part of my life practice, right? And again, this can happen. This can be applied to every aspect of life, business, marketing, of course, very important, but also with your health, with your relationships, with your personal development and your growth, right? Your finances even. So really, really, again, embrace this principle, implement it, and don't be afraid of taking those steps, because, worst that can happen is it can go wrong, and you have information, right? You have data to adjust from, right? It's a beautiful, the unknowns, right? All right, like these vast unknowns, stepping into them is a beautiful space, because then you really get to discover what you're made of and who you can become, right? Who you can become. So that's my message for you today. More from me tomorrow. Until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.